A friend of mine, I'll give credit to, attorney in the Midwest, Jeff Watson, explained or introduced the concept of entrepreneurs. But they're not really entrepreneurs. They want to be entrepreneurs, but either they don't understand, or they don't want to do what it really takes. And that's part of what we're talking about. That as an entrepreneur, you got to do every part of it, even the stuff that sucks, like cleaning the toilets and doing the things that nobody else wants to do. Because in the end, your success is going to depend upon your efforts. And it's interesting. It goes back to the same thing of concepts of working in your business versus working on your business. Two different things, right? I'm at a point where I know every part of this business. I know every part of my business, and I'm looking to scale it. But the struggle that I have, the real struggle that I have, is I'm so passionate about my baby that I built, my business. It's hard to delegate because people aren't going to have the same passion. They're not going to have the same dedication. They're not going to have the same. And is a little pride of ownership. It's a little pride of ownership. Um, and it's a real struggle, I think, that I do have to release some of the responsibility to others, but it's still a struggle. It's still a struggle to do it. I understand where it needs to go if I want to get it to the next level, putting people in place. But I'm very particular with who I bring in and who I want to take the controls, because it's trust at that point. I have partners and in my business, and we've talked about this, where they don't do it to my level that I'd like, where they have failed me here and there, but that's okay because I still trust them. And I trust that as I may not have my hand on that particular control of the machine, that even if it gets screwed up, they'll know how to fix it. And I can back off. And that's more important than having it be perfect. That's more important than having it be perfect, is having the right people that you can trust. They may not get it perfectly, but when it gets screwed up, you can trust that they'll get it back on course where it needs to be. And so that's part of the growth as an entrepreneur, is growing the business and then handing off part of the responsibility to others to co-author the vision with you. But it's a struggle. It's a real one, and so it's part of the growth process. Part of the growth process. But at the same time, as we talked about having kids and putting them off into the world and seeing how great the world is going to be and seeing how great they come in the world, you got to view your business that way too. At some point, you got to let it go, let people get involved, drive it, put their hands on the control, and see how great it can turn into by other people co-authoring the vision and its future as well. You just got to get the right people as the challenge, right? Putting the right people in as opposed to the wrong people, and that's the challenge. So I guess now that I'm self-analyzing and having my own therapeutic session with my schizophrenic self, I guess the struggle is not so much delegating and letting it go and grow. The struggle is finding the right people to do it with. I've acquiesced to letting others control certain parts of the business and have their hand on certain knobs of the machine. I've acquiesced to that, the idea of that. And the struggle is filling that position with the right people. That's the struggle. But the concept of the idea of doing it, I'm okay. It took me a little while to get to that reconciliation to let others have control. But I've been there now, and that's just a matter of finding the right people. That's the struggle. What's interesting is, too, is I'm sure that as I say that, there are many other entrepreneurs out there that have the same struggles, And being the top of your organization, many entrepreneurs at the top of their organization don't have sounding boards that have the same types of struggles, right? So we talked about maybe doing a mastermind with other entrepreneurs and things of that nature. But let's get back to my original point that being an entrepreneur or a wantrepreneur are two different things, right? The wantrepreneur is going to be the linear thinker, just doing tasks and not really building a business. Because the idea is you want to fire yourself. I'm trying to fire myself. I tried twice, didn't work. Turns out that my business still relies upon me and my efforts. So when you can fire yourself, not go to work, and still maintain your lifestyle and your income, then you did a good job. Not there yet. Twice I tried to fire myself. I tried to, fuck off, leave the business, go have fun in life and stuff, and, started to fall apart. All right, so I'm not there. I got to get back in, put some pieces back together. But you see where the holes are and where you got to fill the gaps, which is a good thing too. So when I was in New Jersey, one of the ways I did that, when I was in New Jersey, I volunteered for my EMS squad. I drove the ambulance around town. And that was part of my test, was can I leave my desk at the spur of the moment when an emergency call comes in? And I was doing that. I'd leave my team behind and go on a call. And there'd be plenty of times where we're driving the ambulance back to the squad house and a call comes in. Hey, you want to take the next call? Yeah, we were volunteers. So yeah, let's go take the next call. I knew there were times when I had to get back to my desk to deal with certain situations. And I would purposely say, yeah, let's go take another call, just to see how the issues would get handled without me there. And they didn't. Things were falling apart. So I did that for like 2.5 years. I did that. And the business did not go where I wanted it to go. I was like, okay, well, that's telling right there as well. I know where I got to put certain pieces in place and do certain things, give certain responsibility, do training, get right people, systems. But that was part of me doing stress tests on my business to see where the holes were. And it was fun volunteering. It was fun driving around town, blowing through the red lights, with the big air horn and sirens and blowing people out of the way. That was fun. There's no doubt that anybody that I was, driving for EMTs and such, that they knew that I was having fun doing that. I was good at it. I did get to be a part of saving someone's life with CPR, bring someone back to life. That was interesting. But it's an interesting life there as well. But being a volunteer, you come and go as I please with it. And one of the reasons why I did it was to do a stress test on my business, see if I can walk away from it. Turns out I couldn't. So I know where I got to put some of the pieces, try and make it better. Marketing and doing some of the stuff is part of it, right? And so I'm redesigning the business, and we're actually, my partner and I were reassessing, reanalyzing, rebuilding, retooling, and repurposing some stuff to try it a different way, build it a different way. This marketing is part of it. That's part of the growth. That's being an entrepreneur, right? Success doesn't go in a straight line. Success goes this line, right? It's going to have a trend line forward and up, but it doesn't go in a straight line. It goes in all different directions. But what other way do you kind of measure this? You make it up as you go along. I mean, I don't know if anybody else that stress tests their business by walking away from it and see what happens. I mean, I did that, and I did it as driving an ambulance around town. It was cool. It was fun. There was plenty of times where we lived, our gated community was on a main road, and so getting across town, that was a main artery to get across town. So there would be plenty of times where I run out, jumped in the Jeep, threw on my blue lights, flashing around town, get people to come out of my. Felt important, right? I have to get to an emergency and stuff and everything. And it was cool riding around town with my blue lights, get there, and then I'd have to come all the way back around with the ambulance. And when I'd cross, because our house was near the front gate, and so every time I'd pass the front gate, I'd fire up the air horns and the sirens. And the kids would always say, "Oh, there goes Dad, there goes Dad." And, I always do it for them, and it was fun. I had fun doing that. Met a lot of interesting people. I mean, we did it throughout COVID. Myself and my chief, we did 320 calls in the year of 2019. The 2019 or 2020 it was. But my chief and I were the two highest call responders in the squad. And honestly, I did that because for the mental health too. Being stuck in the house and just being so isolated. If I didn't have that radio, listening to the police band, listening to fire, and then going out on a call in EMS and being in touch with the outside world, otherwise just being fed in your own little ecosystem, being isolated in the house, but seeing what was going on outside the world, at least hearing it over the radio, and knowing there was still life going on out there, that was helpful. You're sitting there, you're watching TV, and you hear fire being called because somebody forgot to put a battery in their smoke alarm and sends off the fire alarms, and fire has got it. And you're laughing there like, oh, who's this idiot? Just change the batteries, because now I know all the fire volunteers are getting all pissed off because they were probably laying in bed or doing something, and because somebody didn't put a battery in their detectors, which was hooked up to central monitoring and trigger the fire department. You sit there and you got a little chuckle out of it, So you hear all the stuff that went on, but there's no rule book on running a business. You just got to kind of figure it out as you go, and you just keep going. Just keep going. Persistence will outdo resistance every time. Every time. And are there times where you feel like I've hit my ceiling? Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe it's not for me. Plenty of times. But maybe just pivot a little bit, right? You don't give up. You just adapt, as you say.